I cannot endorse candidates as a not-for-profit civic, but I can pass on information, and I can put out a voting record, and I can share written material that has been sent out. Do we have any children in the room? Okay. There was a piece of literature that is on the internet and available in other places that has an offensive picture on it. But I thought it's so critical, I didn't cut out the offensive picture. I'm going to be passing it out. If anyone is offended, just throw it out. But I cannot let it go and not let Sweet Hollow know what's out there and the insults to Sweet Hollow from a gentleman who's running for the 17th Legislative District. He is so disrespectful to Sweet Hollow, and he has given us literally Johnny Cash's middle finger. And that's what he put in writing. And then he goes on to call us the other half. He says we have covered all our property with tennis courts, and that's why we need a playground. We don't have a playground area because we're all so rich. We have tennis courts and circular driveways. He also claimed he doesn't know where we are, but we should vote for him. I can't make this stuff up, believe me. So I'd like to pass this out. I need to protect Sweet Hollow. We need to protect our area, and we need to protect it from people who do not want to represent us, who insult us, who want to take tax dollars, put it in writing, away from Sweet Hollow. And I will not tolerate it. I don't think any of you will tolerate it either. So hold on one second. This is critical. This gentleman was in opposition to Sweet Hollow Park. His name is James Martin. And he felt that we butt in on the mall where he lives. So he was going to be butting in on Sweet Hollow Park where we live. And he felt we shouldn't be butting in, but it's okay for him to butt in. This piece, I ordinarily don't ever, you've never heard me put out election pieces or anything. This piece made me sick. It is so offensive to us. He calls us the other half. How does someone represent you when you are called the other half? How does someone represent you when they say they got in the car and they didn't know where you were? He lives 1.5 miles from our area near the mall. And I think everyone should know this. I'm not telling you not to vote for him or vote for him. I am sharing his literature. And I approached him at 3 debates in the past few weeks. I showed him the piece. I said, is this yours? Do you stand by it? Do you know the picture is so offensive? And he said, I wrote it, I stand by it, it's mine, I believe it. Last night at the Half Hollow Hills debate, I questioned him on it. I didn't bring the picture because it wasn't appropriate. But he said he stood by it. He just stood by it. So I could not sleep if Half Hollow Hills and Sweet Hollow, I brought down Half Hollow Hills, didn't know the kind of people running who want to represent us. It is one of the most offensive pieces I have ever seen since I lived here in 1984.
So
I have
all the
never seen
pictures of
anything
the
like
guns that keep getting every day in the mail.
So I wanted to share it with you. The other thing is that for 12 years, we worked to get Sweet Hollow Park and to find a home for our friends, the Bapps. And in the interim, we created affordable senior housing. All 3 wonderful things.
This is why Mr. Cook is not here.
He wasn't invited.
That's right, he was not invited, and I'll tell you why he was not invited.
He was not.
I invited him to 10 meetings. I called him. I emailed him invitations. We waited for him, and he never showed up. So when you invite someone 10 times, and they don't show up, what do you do?
How convenient. Before an election, that's very convenient.
And that's the way it is.
We know we got your number.
Okay, now, if the election, one second, if the election were to go a certain way, we have no guarantee that funding will be appropriate for Sweet Hollow Park. We will have a park, it was voted on, but it has to be appropriated funding so that we can get the playground and the tennis courts and the running track and the walking track and the adult exercise equipment and everything else and the basketball courts. That must be funded, goes out for an RFP and it gets funded. If something changes on the town board level and they don't want to fund Sweet Hollow Park because they weren't in favor of it, we can have 8 acres of nothing. And that's my concern also. I don't want 8 acres of nothing. We need to make sure that we are protected, that that property is used for an appropriate purpose. You can vote however you choose. It's one issue, it's not all issues, but it is symbolic when someone calls us the other half. And when he thinks everyone here is all of the same economics, he has no clue of our economic diversity. He thinks we all have tennis courts, we all have circular driveways, whatever that means, and he doesn't know where we are. I don't want to go on any further. I know some of you have a question, one of you have a question. I want you to be educated, and everyone must know who they're voting for, and everyone here worked so hard to bring Sweet Hollow to the place where it is today. And we had battles that took 12 years. Let's not go backwards. Let's go forward with people who support us, our needs, understand us, come to our meetings, take our phone calls, are there for us and vote with us. And those people are in the room tonight. That's my 2 cents. Yes. Did you have a question?
Yeah, I don't want to beat a dead horse in Cannon, but, I mean, the town of Huntington permitted Cannon to come. They probably encouraged them to come. We're enjoying the revenues that come with Cannon. And now, regardless of what the state does, can we get a commitment from our elected officials to fund that bridge without the state, no matter what the state does? I mean, we invited Cannon here, and now we're being impacted, and now we're trying to pass the ball to someone else, to the state. I know it's great to get state aid if we can get it, but we should be committed to fixing that bridge no matter what.
You're right, and that bridge will be addressed. And the people in this room have made a commitment to do that. We also have Cannon.
You hear that?
Cannon has come forth and met with us twice. They have people here tonight. I don't know if they want to say anything. But we have a full committee meeting on a regular basis now with Cannon. And in a few minutes I'll get to all the initiatives they have done. Their ears are open. It may be a little bit after the fact, but they're trying now to be good neighbors. And they have a directive from Japan to make peace with the community, to provide scholarships, to do other things. They want to make amends, they want to make right by our community. I'm not saying I'm jumping for joy at what happened, but it's here. They're willing to make a better situation. We have to work with what's here, and going forward, if it's a positive experience, if we get scholarships for our children, if traffic is ameliorated, if we get the bridge, they will be lobbying with us side by side to get that bridge. And let's try to make friends of our neighbors. That's what we have to do.
Melissa,
Yes.
could you give us a rundown of who voted for the Sweet Hollow Park?
It's here.
Okay, everyone who voted for the Sweet Hollow Park is on the sheet. The only one who didn't is Councilman Cook. Supervisor Patron not only voted, but led the charge, met with the BAPs for years, scouted out properties, came to my home to have food with the BAPs and talk, went to Bowden Avenue in Queens to meet with them at their facility, gave up hours and hours of his personal time to do everything he could. I can't tell you how many cups of coffee we had in the diner over this, and how many dinners we had and meetings and arguments, and make up with the BAPs and work with them and met with their spiritual leaders and met with their families, but he accomplished it. Councilman Cuthbertson went out of his way and took a lot of heat at town board meetings and defended the transfer of development rights and everything else, and was on record everywhere to support Sweet Hollow and to support Sweet Hollow Park, the transfer of rights, the senior housing, and the BAPs. Councilman Mayoka took a lot of heat because his party basically came out against Sweet Hollow Park, the other members of his party, and his supporters from different areas. And he stood by us. Councilman Cook grew up near us, right down off of Round Swamp Road. He understands this area. He came out and supported us and took flack and heat Councilman Mayoka, oh my God, Councilman Mayoka went and did that and took heat and voted opposite Councilman Cook, who was supposed to be on the same team and ticket. And he took a lot of flack for it, and I admire him for doing that, and he never hid, and he was out there. And he's still taking flack from it. And anyone who said we shouldn't have it because we're wealthy, Well, Central Park is in a pretty wealthy area. You're telling me we shouldn't have Central Park? And we're not all so wealthy, and it's nobody's business if we are. We pay taxes, we're entitled to parkland. We voted for 3 open space bond issues that we have paid for years, and it was overwhelming. And Mr. Martin's piece, he said tax dollars shouldn't pay for park. He has no clue at all about the open space bond issues, not even a clue, and neither does Councilman Cook. Because he said we're being taxed to pay for these parks. So it's beyond belief. 17th Legislative District. He is running opposite Mr. Martin, who you've just read Mr. Martin's literature. And you received an email from Mr. DeMauro, Legislator DeMauro, offering what he can do to help us. I can't take a position, it's very tight, and everyone here is political. I can only share one piece of literature and another piece of literature, and you have to make up your own mind. I know that a letter was sent out from the candidate's wife, and, you know, I could write a lovely thing about my husband too, and I would try to tell the truth. I'll leave the rest to you. All right, so that's so much on politics. Now,
But I just have to say one thing, because I heard a lot of things about Gene Cook and a little bit about Josh Price, and I happen to know the man. He's a very honorable man, he's a hardworking man, and I don't know what the reason is that he may not have come here if you've invited him 10 times, but, and I know he was not invited tonight, but I wanted somebody to say that everybody deserves a chance to be heard, and by saying these things in a meeting, I just find it a bit offensive, because I happen to know the man, and he's a very good man.
When he voted against the park,
Excuse me, I have the
12 years to get.
I have the floor.
He was heard.
I have the floor.
We heard his
all right, let the gentleman
Let me
speak and then
listen.
we can answer to it.
Yeah, I really would like that, because I happen to know him, and I don't know why he would vote against it or for it, because I don't know the details of the issue. But I can tell you that he is an honorable and a good man and a hardworking man, and that's all I really wanted to say. I'm not here to
I can tell
fight.
you, well, he called me a liar and said I never invited him. He was on the flyer, his name, that he was to come, and he didn't. I go up to the podium, I handed out the flyers about this meeting to every single one on the podium at town board meetings. He never came, he never called.
We do have other topics.
Yes.
I had some serious questions about this horrible construction at 110 Old Country Road. That's gone past very shortly. We've had a long time on politics. We know your position. We understand the position of a lot of people in here. We know that not everybody is like that. Could we please end the political
Yes,
discussion?
I agree with you. And if you have questions, anything to do with the traffic issues, please write them down. I will get them out to the appropriate people,
I'm happy
and
to not
you
talk
will
about
get
it
an
later.
answer. That was made abundantly clear by the DOT people and the town people that were here. So nothing will be ignored, it will be answered, okay? Thank you. All right, so I'd like to move on. If